Now we're gonna do one that's almost identical, okay? And so I'm not gonna go into a lot of depth on the Americana and stuff, but the only difference is now the sweep is called a dummy sweep, all right? Because they fall like a dummy, and it's also kind of dummy for somebody to stand up in your closed guard. But the idea is when they try to stand up in your closed guard, you knock them over with your hips, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Get to the Americana, same exact thing as the hip bump sweep series. So, when we're in the closed guard, and they make the mistake of standing up, right here, if I can ever reach their ankles, I'm just going to grab their ankles, I'm going to launch my hips forward to knock them over. Now let's talk about that a little bit. The biggest mistake I see here all the time is as they stand up, they either grab the back of the knees or the back of the calves, okay? And that makes things not work as well. I really need to practice getting down to the Achilles or to the heel or to the ankle, and then I'm pushing them forward with my hips, okay? So, notice that when, go ahead. When he stands up, I knock him over. If I take my time right here getting up, he can just come back, and he can fight out of here, and then I end up usually back in the guard, and I did all that hard work for nothing, okay? So when I do this sweep, I got to make sure I launch my hips over their hips while I have the momentum in my favor, so that way I can establish that dominant position. So let's move back this way a little bit. So I get my closed guard, he stands up in my closed guard, I get my dummy sweep, boom, I gotta launch myself. You see how I use my hand, just like in that hip bump sweep, to launch myself over his hips. All right, once I've launched myself over his hips, I establish back to my mount, I get my Americana. Boom. As I get my Americana, I'm gonna alleviate, he's gonna do fists and hips, he's gonna shrimp out, he's gonna get his closed guard. Once he's gotten his closed guard, I'm going to make the dummy mistake of standing up. He's going to grab my ankle, and he's going to push me forward. Ugh. He's going to launch his hips over, and then he's going to get the Americana. So some important things, grabbing down by the ankles, and then once you launch them over, you got to get your hips over them as quick as you can, or else it's going to get ugly. So I push, shrimp out, get my closed guard back. Okay, now let's talk about what happens when he makes things difficult, okay? So as he goes to stand up, all right, what if I go to grab this and he's smart, so he comes down and he like grabs my head or something, right? He makes it difficult, so now I can't get this. You'll naturally want to bring your hips down and push him now to create that angle. Either that or, come back. Right here he's grabbing my head, is I come right here and then I can push off. But either way, you see how much space, whichever one it is, look how much space I have. So if I'm going to do this, I have to be very cognizant, all right? People get really obsessed with this because especially the kids, they get all overzealous right here and they want to like launch this kid to, the moon. But then they're far away and they don't get the sweep because the other kid just gets back up. If you're going to do this, all right? And you're forced to use your feet. It's okay, but you're forced to use your feet right here to get him over. Just make sure that you're popping up as quick as possible. So I push him over, and I got to launch all the way up as quick as possible, no matter what, getting my hips on top of his hips, whether it's mount, knee on belly, or side control. So let's go through the series now from right here. Close guard, they stand up, boom, launch. So almost identical to the last one, but now we're just utilizing the dummy sweep. So the dummy sweep is grabbing their ankles, launching them forward, making sure your hips stay over their hips as they fall. And if you're going to be forced to use your feet rather than just the closed guard, make sure that you are ready to pop up because you have created so much space between them and their hips. So that's the dummy sweep warm-up series.